Vampire, the most dreaded species anyone could encounter. They are ferocious, ripping apart flesh off bodies like there's no tomorrow. But the story that we are about to tell you today involves not only vampires, but so-called super vampires. If you think vampires are fearsome and dangerous, wait till you know about one of the Reapers. These super breeds of vampires feed on other vampires for fun, in the same way that an adult shark consumes other smaller fish in the sea. They were created with a special Reaper strain, which makes them much more powerful than the common breed. And the very first of the Reaper breed was Nomak, aka Evildoer, the vengeful mutant and the main antagonist of the 2002 superhero horror film Blade 2. In today's video, we will take you through the legend of the vicious super vampire Nomak in Blade 2, and explore how the leader of the Reaper vampires went about his business in the movie. Stay tuned, because some of the fascinating facts about Nomak and his Reapers will shock you. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The creation of Nomak. Being born into a vampire family, Nomak was initially as ordinary a vampire as any other, but not for long. Things were about to change for him, thanks to the ambitions of his own father. His father, the cunning and manipulative pure-blood vampire overlord, Eli Damaskinos, had fathered several thousand children, including Nomak and his sister Nissa. What a family man, you might think. Well, Damaskinos was anything but that. He cared little for his family, with his loyalty lying solely in perfecting the vampire race, so much so that he didn't hesitate to sacrifice his own son, along with his daughter and her group of trainees, to create a superlative breed of vampires. To fulfill his vision, Damaskinos developed a mutated vampiric virus that would turn vampires into much deadlier creatures, Reapers. The plan was to engineer beasts that could even withstand sunlight, an unthinkable feat in the vampire world. And who did Eli Damaskinos choose to be his guinea pig? None other than his own son, Nomak, who became patient zero of the Reaper strain. Once his blood was infused with the virus, Nomak acquired the traits of a superior, evolved breed. Clearly, Nomak never wanted any of this. Disgusted by his father's betrayal, he decides to go rogue, his sole aim to exact revenge and wipe out the entire vampire clan by converting all of them into Reapers. Nomak's lore in Blade 2. In the movie, Nomak is played by actor Luke Goss, whom you might recognize from his role as Prince Nuada in Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. The story in Blade 2 begins in Prague, Czech Republic, where Nomak visits a blood bank in search of blood. The surgeons at the bank, who are actually vampires, attempt to trap him inside a vault and plan to kill him, but they underestimate him. Nomak isn't a regular vampire, he's a Reaper. He easily overpowers the two surgeons and a guard, killing them brutally and declaring that he hates vampires. Meanwhile, not far from Nomak, his arch-nemesis, the human-vampire hybrid, Blade, is also in Prague. He's searching for Abraham Whistler, his former mentor, who was presumed dead after being gravely injured on a previous mission. But as it turns out, Whistler is alive. Unfortunately, he's been held captive for 2 years and has slowly been turning into a vampire. Blade discovers Whistler's location, rescues him, and even manages to cure him of vampirism. Whistler recovers, but the duo now faces an even bigger threat. The Reaper virus, originally released by vampire overlord Damaskinos, has spiraled out of control, thanks to his own son. Nomak, the first test subject of his father's twisted experiment, is now using the virus as a weapon against the vampire clan. He's on a mission to transform normal vampires into monstrous, bloodthirsty mutants with a highly infectious bite, creatures like himself. But he doesn't plan to stop with vampires. Humans are next. This spells disaster for Damaskinos. The Reaper virus, his own creation, has defied his intentions and become a menace he can no longer contain. Nomak, his own son, has become the ultimate threat, bent on wiping out the vampire race as revenge. With the vampire population rapidly dwindling, Damaskinos is forced to do the unthinkable. The problem with Damaskinos is that he's already at war with the Daywalker and his vampire-killing allies. But at the moment, he finds the threat posed by his son, Nomak, even more alarming. As the vampire overlord, Damaskinos sends his daughter, Nissa, along with his trusted lieutenant, Assad, to propose a temporary ceasefire to Blade. Unsurprisingly, Blade doesn't trust the offer at first, leading to a brief fight between him and the vampire duo. But once they introduce themselves as representatives of the ruling vampire council and extend an offer of truce, Blade holds back. Nyssa acknowledges that Blade has long been their fiercest enemy, but insists they must put their differences aside, at least for now, because there's something far worse roaming the street, something that threatens both vampires and humans alike. On behalf of the vampire world, she proposes an alliance to hunt down Nomak and the Reaper. Still skeptical, Blade and Whistler agree to visit Damaskinos at the vampire lair. There, they hear it from the Overlord himself. If Nomak is not stopped, humans will undoubtedly be the next victims of the Reaper virus. That's a huge risk. At Damaskinos' request, Blade agrees to join forces with Assad and Nyssa to fight the growing menace of Nomak and his deadly mutation. Damaskinos knows exactly what kind of monster he has created, and he also knows that this small group alone can't defeat him. To strengthen their odds, Damaskinos makes a surprising move. He offers to unleash his elite vampire strike force, known as the Blood Pack, to assist Blade and his team. Blade has no choice but to accept, even though the Blood Pack was originally formed for one purpose: killing Blade. Now united under a common cause, Blade and the Blood Pack begin hunting the Reapers in their suspected hideout. The heat is on Jared Nomak and his growing Reaper clan. Their first stop? A vampire nightclub called the House of Pain, a classic gothic club where vampires dance to pounding techno beat. Lucky for Blade, some Reapers are also in attendance that night, including Nomak himself. With his heightened senses, Nomak quickly picks up Blade's scent and prepares for confrontation. The Reapers clash with the Blood Pack, while Nomak personally goes after his sister, Nyssa. Just as Nomak is about to overpower her, Blade arrives. But instead of immediately attacking, Nomak poses a question, one that lingers with unsettling weight. Is the enemy of my enemy my friend or my enemy? Blade answers the only way he knows how, by shooting him in the head. But Nomak, blessed with powerful regenerative ability, survives the bullet and escapes, for now. Meanwhile, the fight between the Reapers and the Blood Pack is still going strong, and Blade's new group discovers that their enemies are much stronger than they imagine. For starters, the Reapers are immune to most of the weaknesses of normal vampires, like silver and garlic. Not only can they kill more efficiently, but they can also heal much better than the Blood Pack. However, they still have one nemesis they can't withstand: sunlight or UV rays. Blade and the Blood Pack gang know his vulnerability and try to exploit it to their advantage. In the fight that ensued, one of the Reapers is able to attack and convert one of the Blood Pack members. Just then, Nomak appears on the scene again and starts to take on Blade in a brutal fight. Both are powerful enough, and the battle moves towards a brutal stalemate. Seeing the approaching dawn and the inability of the Reapers to withstand sunlight, Jared Nomak decides to retreat from the sun. After Nomak vanishes again, the Blood Pack regroups to plan their next course of action. They assemble their upgraded UV weapons and prepare for a final battle. Not at night, but in broad daylight this time. Whistler tracks down and locates the Reaper nest hidden beneath the sewers, where Nomak and hundreds of his Reapers are living and feeding without a care in the world. Chaos strikes the Reaper lair. As the hunters infiltrated, a battle ensued with the Blood Pack, along with Blade, butchering the Reapers. However, they are soon down by one when one of the Reapers attacks and turns one of their members. Meanwhile, Whistler confronts Nomak in one of the sewers, but he's no match for the Reaper. Instead of killing him instantly, Nomak spares his life so that he can deliver a message. He provides Whistler with cryptic information on the true origins of the Reaper strain, saying, "My end is my beginning." Right after that, Blade catches hold of Nomak on a bridge, and the duo fiercely battle it out. As dawn approaches, Nomak knows well that he will have no chance once daylight breaks, with the fight turning into a neck-and-neck battle and heading toward a stalemate. Nomak gives Blade the same offer his father gave the Daywalker. He tries to capitalize on the fact that both he and Blade would love to see the end of vampires, and persuades him to stop the fight and join forces. But Blade doesn't believe him and brutally declines Nomak's offer of a truce. With the sunlight now up, Nomak faces the huge risk of being turned to ashes with each streak of light. Meanwhile, Blade uses a UV bomb to kill all of the Reapers, except for Nomak, who cleverly dodges and retreats from the scene once again, only to fight another day. Even after a short victory for Blade and company, he is betrayed by the guards who hold him captive and escort him back to Damaskinos' lair. Here, Blade uncovers the whole secret behind the creation of the Reapers. Damaskinos reveals that it was he who created and infused the Reaper strain in Nomak. In fact, it wasn't even a virus, but a failed genetic experiment aimed at creating daywalking vampires. The leader of the vampires drops yet another bomb when he reveals that he is still creating the Reapers, which are kept incubated in fetus form. This comes as an absolute shock to Blade and the gang, and even Damaskino's own daughter is utterly disgusted by her father's actions, and the betrayal is not over yet. Damaskinos now wants to harness Blade's biology of being immune to sunlight to create his dream Reaper strain. For this purpose, he sends the Daywalker to a torture chamber to be killed and dissected. With the action heating up on the vampire side, how can the Reapers stay far for long? Nomak eventually locates his father's lair and attacks it with full force. With blows full of pent-up rage towards his father, he destroys all the guards single-handedly and proceeds to kill him. Damaskinos tries to escape, but is betrayed by Nissa, who is extremely disillusioned by her father at this point. She puts the lair in complete lockdown, preventing anyone from escaping. Seeing his end near, Damaskinos tries to barter for his life by offering his son all his power and virtually everything he could desire, but to no avail. Nomak, deeply hurt by the horrors he endured after his father's fateful experiments on him, is in no mood to listen. He catches hold of his father and kills him brutally. He is finally able to exact his revenge for turning him into a Reaper, but he doesn't stop there. He goes on to bite his sister Nissa as he is about to make his exit after completing the circle. Blade appears on the scene. This time, the duo engages in a battle to the death with relentless blows exchanged. Owing to his vampire strength, Nomak initially gains the upper hand, almost beating Blade to a pulp. Still, the bloody fight continues, and Blade eventually finds a weak spot in Nomak's defenses. Using his sword, Blade jams it beneath Nomak's arm, tearing through the protective bone shield around the Reaper's heart. At this moment, even Nomak gives up mentally. He didn't become a vampire by choice, let alone a Reaper. He is now tired of being one, which is why he thrusts the sword even deeper into his heart, completely penetrating it and ending his own life. The first ever Reaper finally finds comfort in his death. With the death of their soul carrier, all the other Reapers converted by Nomak also die, thwarting the Reaper menace for good. Powers and ability. Nomak has a unique Reaper physiology, which makes him far stronger, faster, and mentally tougher than any normal vampire. After being infected, all his capabilities as a normal vampire still existed, but were modified to a great extent. As a Reaper, he could easily overpower both humans and normal vampires with his superhuman strength, which was far greater than that of normal vampires. His enhanced strength allows him to easily break through reinforced doors, knock over large structures, and break bones with ease. Combining his superior strength with excellent combat skill, he is more than capable of holding his own against Blade, even overpowering him at certain points. The Reaper strain also makes his body resistant to the fire from even automatic weapons. This ability is particularly important, as traditional vampires are still somewhat vulnerable to being shot by standard, non-silver bullets. To improve their defenses, Nomak and the other Reapers have developed a thick bone casing covering their heart from the front and back, allowing them to completely avoid being staked directly. As if this wasn't enough, the first of the Reapers can heal and regenerate any part of his body almost instantly. This healing ability helps him prolong his lifespan indefinitely. Nomak also displays superior intellect, while building strategies and directing his army of Reapers. The Reaper clan hunts both vampires and humans, aided by their extremely heightened senses of sight, smell, and hearing. There is one drawback though. Reapers must feed every few hours, or they will die. Nomak, being the first the Reaper, didn't initially show an immediate thirst for blood. He behaved much more maturely compared to the minions that came after him. He had at least some control over his thirst and retained his sanity. Unlike other Reapers who became mindless creatures, the fact remained that it all started with him. Marvelous verdict. Nomak's story as the carrier and propagator of the Reaper strain might depict him as insane, but the truth is, he is not the biggest villain in the story. His father, Eli Damaskino, is the real reason Nomak was forced to tread a path of destruction for his vampire clan. Nomak could never forgive his father for what he did to him, especially when Damaskinos considered Nomak one of his failed experiments. While the Reaper virus granted some powers and ability that exceeded those of normal vampires, Damaskinos' desires were never fully realized. Failed or not, this experiment definitely changed Nomak though, for the worse. What do you think of Nomak's lore? Do you think his actions as a revengeful Reaper led to massive losses for his vampire clan, or helped cure the Reaper menace once and for all? Tell us in the comments what you make of Jared Nomak's story. We will be back again with yet another character and his story. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.